This week on Case Studies with the Biz Doc, it's Rivian, the electric car company that the first big vehicle they've got is a truck. Get in, sit down, shut up, buckle up. We got the whole story. Rivian. It's the overnight sensation electric vehicle company that's been a whole bunch of years in the making, having been founded in heart and soul in 2009. It was founded by this guy, Robert R.J. Scaringe, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've heard the interviews, and I believe that's the correct way, and that's how he wants his name pronounced, so we'll do it. So in the meantime, we'll just call him the founder of Rivian, R.J. So R.J. is out there, 2009, and he gets this name in Florida, something to do with Indian River where he grew up and stuff. But nonetheless, there was nothing more than that. And he had this vision. The vision was, starting in 2009, he raised a little bit of debt. You can see $250,000, then $1 million in debt. And he was in stealth mode. And he was going to, build an electric car on a platform he called the skateboard. Here's the skateboard, the electric motors, brakes, and everything like that. And then building the car around it with the utility, the space, and style for you and me. The original idea was to build a sports car. That was his dream. But no, he would stop on that and say, you know what? Really, the place could be the electric truck. And so he abandons the plans for the car, but not for the skateboard and all the underlying elements of it, to build a truck. And he has a truck and an SUV in mind. Well, as you can see, there was a whole bunch of years that I've got to compress to here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, until we get to 2017. 2017, he's there. He actually acquires a Mitsubishi plant in Illinois and unveils plans for a truck SUV. So we're really there. So it was really, if you look at 8 years chasing your dream, planning, putting things together with a couple $1 million is all, and 250 employees as of January of 2018, and they took $200 million in debt in May of that year. This is really where the vision and buying the factory at the beginning of 17 happens. So there's a lot of prep work, but let's focus on the beginning of 17 to the beginning of 22, which is right around the corner because it's December of 2021 as we film this. So that's 5 years. So here go those 5 years. He acquires a Mitsubishi plant, unveils the truck SUV plans, as I mentioned, 250 employees, $200 million in debt. Big things happen over the course of 12 months. Well, we also know in this time that Tesla was already out there, very successful, offering not one, not two, not three, but 4 different vehicles, the Model S, then the Model 3, the Model X with the wings, a little mid-size SUV, and then plans for this thing called the Cybertruck, which has no curves on it. It was all completely almost drawn with a ruler. Remember the Cybertruck, Paul?
One ugly truck, Tom.
It is one ugly truck. That's exactly right. So all this is going on in the background, and you'll note that Tesla was all about cars except for a PR campaign about someday the Cybertruck, the ugly truck. And Rivian's talking about a truck and SUV. So you can kind of see they're on 2 different paths there. So I kind of think that was a smart strategy by Rivian if it was really that far thought out. So in March of 2019, they're up to 750 employees, tripling the amount. They have headquarters in Irvine. They got the place in the plant in Illinois. And by the way, if you're buying the plant from Mitsubishi and putting it in a tax state like Illinois, I hope you got some tax breaks built into that. Everybody else gets them. So here you have 3 times the number of employees, and Amazon, big announcement, $700 million investment in February of 2019, and they announced they're ordering 100,000 vans that they hope to have delivered by 2022. Later, that would be extended to the final delivery of the last one we get 2030. So it really becomes about an 8-9 year plan here. Well, then you go to April, and after Amazon invests, Ford Motor Company, yep, those guys, that Ford, announces a $500 million investment in April, along with the plans to collaborate on an electric vehicle. Now remember, I'm going to come back to this in a minute. That's April of 2019. Then there was Cox Automotive, $350 million in October. So take a look at what's being raised. You look at all here, and then from $200 million a year later, we're already up at $1.5 billion. We've achieved unicorn status. This thing is worth several $1 billion in investment valuation. And then look who shows up. So you've got distributor that uses electric cars, the Amazon vans, that's why they want it. Ford's collaborating, they're saying, on future trucks. Cox Automotive is in the deal. So here comes the money, T. Rowe Price. If everybody's in the pool, I'm diving in. $1.3 billion from T. Rowe Price in December. So look at what was raised in 2019. Add all that up. That's 2.8, so almost $2.9 billion raised in 2019. Well, we all know what happened moments after T. Rowe Price invested at the end of 2019. Eek! We all learned what Wuhan was, which was the source, the location where COVID spread around the world and wreaked havoc. Well, in February of 2020, as the United States was starting to shut down, a lot of things were happening there, if you remember. 2,000 employees, so they've now doubled employees again. So they've got money in the bank, they got the plant over here, they're rushing and they're saying, hey, any moment now it's going to be out. They've now entered the window, what I called the what I meant to say window. And what I meant to say window is a lot when early stage companies say, we're launching, the first one will be shipped to customers in March. What I meant to say was July. What I meant to say was November. So if you follow the news media, you follow that. T. Rowe Price comes in July of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic and says, hey, the place may be closing down, we may have a pandemic, but here's another $2.5 billion. T. Rowe Price's investment now up to 3.8. Then in November of 2020, again, you got the pandemic coming on across the United States. Rivian's moving ahead. They've added another 1,000 employees, or at 3,000 employees by the end of 2020. And at the beginning of 2021, just when we thought it was safe to go back in the pool, but the Delta variant of COVID showed up, started propagating that spring, T. Rowe Price puts in another $2.7 billion. And Rivian announces we're also going to build a network of fast charging stations. Now, this brings up something interesting because in the past in case studies, I've talked about Tesla, and I happen to think that Tesla is an energy company. Those cars have not been updated. I'm sure they've got a facelift coming and things like that. But if you take a look at what they're doing with solar roof panels, the solar battery that can go into your garage and store energy, you don't need an electric car. You don't need panels on your roof to put the Tesla battery in your garage that helps run your house during the day because it gets low-cost electricity on what's called trickle at night. So those batteries are being charged and they're being used up by your air conditioning in the summer when kilowatts are very expensive. Interesting. So they have that, and they've got a network of supercharger stations, and if you look for a map of those, as a matter of fact, here's a map of them. Take a look at the number of supercharging stations all the way across the United States on this map. This is pretty intense. So you can see if Tesla decided it was going to get in the business of, hey, just give your representative there at Chevy the credit card so they can set you up so that we can auto bill you anytime you go to a charging station. Suddenly, Tesla is operating a chain of service stations. All they need is a mini mart so you can go in and get a drink while your car's taking a big sip of electricity. So if you think about it that way, I think that Tesla in many ways is an energy company because they could very easily be the Exxon of the electric future, in addition to making some pretty cool cars. But there's two paths on that, and as we know, Elon Musk is usually 2 steps or 2 planets when he's going to Mars ahead of the rest of us. Here they go, the good folks at Rivian, saying, hey, we're also going to have a power strategy as fast charging stations are going to start appearing all over the United States by 2023, which is only 2 years from now. Interesting. Well, T. Rowe Price, who's used to giving him 2.5, 2.7 in July of 2021, just a few months ago, they say, here's $2.5 billion. Take a look at that. T. Rowe Price, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost $10 billion has been put into Rivian by T. Rowe Price. I wonder who's going to be really involved in the IPO. Yeah, them. September of this year, they start September, October, those first R1T trucks are rolling out and are being delivered to many people, maybe somebody you know on your block and getting bought. I think they're kind of ugly with those vertical lights, but I think you get used to it. But overall, They now have the car in market, the skateboard, the colors, what's inside. So the whole plan is coming together, from the vision for the skateboard to now the truck that's on top of it, different battery pack powers, talking about the thing can also go in 3 feet of water, all the things that you would want in an off-road truck or SUV to be able to do, and it's being delivered to the public. And Ford announces, we're a 12% owner, but we're no longer collaborating. We're going to do things ourselves, and we've seen this year the electric F-150 has been introduced, and I'm talking about Tesla Power. The F-150's excess power can actually plug into your house during a power failure and give power to a limited number of appliances. You've probably seen the commercials. So Ford is doing its own truck. It invested here at the time, probably got a lot of knowledge and everything through the collaboration that wasn't, and that some of that may be in the Ford F-150. People from Ford might not want me saying that, but collaborations between powerful established partners and new folks usually end up that the powerful established partner gets to look under the covers, open the robe of the kimono, and get to see a lot of technology and knowledge that's going together there in the hands of the new guy inventing it. Needless to say, Ford is no longer collaborating. So the truck is being delivered. So this leads me to here. About the time of delivery, they're announcing that they have 9,000 employees now. Now look at this. In a COVID recovery year, they triple from 3 to 6 to 9,000 employees. This is a real company now, a real big company, and here comes the IPO. You already have a multi-billion-dollar valuation, and all of a sudden you come out here with one of the biggest IPOs in history, a $12 billion IPO that goes to Rivian, and a market cap that was well in excess of $100 billion. You haven't even delivered a car. You're right on the edge of delivering it, and you're sitting there for the time for the IPO, and suddenly you're worth more than 3 of the world major car companies put together, and there is only one word for that, and that is damn! That is a huge IPO. You're not even got a lot of shipments, and you're sitting here right at the end of the year at about $119, $117 a share, give or take here in December, with a $100 billion market cap. Let me say that again, $100 billion. Phenomenal. So now you can see where this is go. They're building trucks. Tesla hasn't delivered Cybertruck. Tesla is delivering cars. And when they introduce new cars, it takes them a while to do it. But they're doing it at scale with a lot of numbers. Tesla's got all the supercharger stations. Rivian's coming out saying we're going to have fast charging stations, portable chargers that you can plug into your home, as well as destination chargers where we'll be working with amusement parks, fairs, sports stadiums, malls, which are typical destinations where you're going to be there for a couple hours, plug in your Rivian while you go enjoy a baseball game, shop a little while at the mall, or what have you. So it's the similar strategy there on energy. So it's a vehicle and energy strategy that started in Florida way back in 2009 and has got all the way here. Now, a lot of people are saying that's an awful lot of money for a company making cars. I think what you need to look at is I see an energy play here in addition to the vehicle play. And I see them in the truck lane, SUV lane, which is a pretty crowded lane because that's the bread and butter for Ford and GM these days is trucks and SUVs. Nonetheless, here they are and there they go. So what are the lessons here for you and me? If you're running a t-shirt company in Berlin or a small technology company here, what can we possibly learn from having a couple $1 million and 8 years to finally get us to where we have 250 employees? Well, there are some things. And the first thing is, I think big. These guys were thinking big from the beginning. And whether you have a small company and big for you is this, or big is nationwide chargers and electric vehicles, thinking big is a core requirement of entrepreneurial success. Next, remember, sometimes you're planting trees. And that's not like planting corn. Corn is planted in March and then harvested in July and August. Comes up pretty quick. Sometimes you're planting trees and the first oranges don't come off the trees for a while. That's the case with Rivian. So don't be afraid of businesses where you're going to be planting trees. Just be sure the tree's going to bear fruit and you're really well thought out on your strategy. And then lastly, a minor can be a major. This may seem like a minor change. The skateboard, and if you Google it, Rivian skateboard, where they show you the chassis and everything there and how neat and tidy and well designed it is, instead of a sports car on the top of it, it's a truck. That little decision has brought them to 2021 with the big IPO and the first shipments of vehicles and not being head-to-head on a vehicle model basis with Tesla. If anything, they're competing head-to-head with Ford, who has an electric F-150 that's out there that is pretty impressive and doing fairly well. That's the Rivian story. I'm going to come back for a chapter 2 on this, but that's the first case study on Rivian, which is an exciting company that's in our electric vehicle future. Well, that's what I think about Rivian, and there's a lot to it, and we're going to stay with the story. But I want to know what you think. Please leave some comments down below. I answer as many as I can, and while you're there, subscribe to Valuetainment and hit the bell so you get notifications of new content. And if you like this story on Rivian, it goes back a little ways, but here is a Biz Doc case study on Tesla, the other mammoth electric car company. Until next time, I'm Tom Ellsworth, the Biz Doc, and I hope I left you better than I found you.